Good afternoon from Dev Northwest. I'm Joanne.
And my name is Sarah. Today is Tuesday, March 9th, and on today's 40th episode of Financial Resilience, we'll be answering questions related to home buying during COVID. A local realtor, Adrian Gonzales, is joining us to discuss the current market conditions.
Adrian, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Of course, thank you guys for having me. It's an honor to be here and I'll give you guys a little bit of insight on the real estate market.
That's right. Before we start off, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into real estate?
Well, what brought me into real estate, honestly, is the real estate investing portion. At the time, which was about 4 years ago, I was working at Lane County and was going to get laid off. And so during that time frame, I said, this is probably a perfect time to start pursuing my goals a little bit heavier. And I started taking the real estate course, and here I am 4 years into it, and pursuing real estate investing and helping my clients, buy and sell real estate.
That's awesome. Okay, so to start off, we were wondering, what is the current trend in the market? Has COVID affected conditions?
Absolutely. And it kind of did the opposite of what I thought it was going to do, because real estate has trends. Every 10 to 15 years, it tends to go up and down, up and down. And I think we're kind of due for that. And so I thought that COVID was going to bring that down market. And it actually did the opposite, with rates being low at all-time lows. It has brought in a lot of demand, which is bringing in, raising up the value of homes. And so it's bringing in demand along with, again, the low inventory.
That kind of leads us to our next question here, Adrian, is what does the current inventory look like?
Great question, Joanna. Inventory right now for Lane County, we're at 8%. Believe it or not, for December, we actually hit all-time records for our regional multiple listing service. We were at 0.6 months of inventory, which has been the all-time record low in our MLS system. Just to kind of bring that into perspective, in a balanced market where it's a buyer's and a seller's market, we should be seeing at least 6 months of inventory. And so right now, being below one month of inventory, that kind of brings it into perspective and gives you an idea of how low we are on inventory and housing. Basically, inventory, what that means is if we were to not get any more homes come on the market, it's going to take 0.8 months to sell everything that is currently available.
So I'm guessing that means it's a seller's market right now. Is that right?
That's actually, yeah, that's correct. It is a seller's market right now, which, it is driven by the rates right now. These low interest rates is bringing in that high demand from buyers, and having that low inventory is making it a seller's market.
And so when you say 0.8, you're talking about it would take less than a month for all of the inventory to be sold. Is that right?
That's correct. Yes, it would take less than 1 month to sell everything. So probably right around 27 days roughly to sell everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So in a market like this, how can a buyer make their offer more attractive?
I like this conversation. This is something that is a lot of realtors are having to adapt to, right? Because in lots of scenarios, buyers are going to be competing with other buyers. In some scenarios, these properties are receiving up to 20 offers in some cases, sometimes as little as 5. But we're no longer in that market where you can offer less than what the house is listed for. Like, that's a thing of the past right now. So things that would make your offer accepted, I've seen some things like, and I don't recommend this, but I'm seeing this. Buyers are waiving their home inspections. So basically, they're not even performing home inspections on a home. That's one thing. Another thing is, um, on average, you typically have 10 business days to perform your home inspections. So instead of making it 10 days, maybe shortening that time frame, because if a transaction is to be terminated, most traditionally it's to happen during that time frame. So it's best to shorten that time period down, right? And it's not wasting the seller's time frame. So shortening your inspection period timelines, that's one other thing. Um, the most money, but sellers always love money. Um, I've actually seen another trend recently, and this is one that I don't feel comfortable with my clients doing, is offering uh, cash on top of an unappraised property. So let's just, for example, let's say you agree to purchase a transaction for $300,000. And upon doing that appraisal, it only appraises for $280,000. We have a $20,000 gap right there, right? So the lender is only going to let the borrower borrow $280,000. But what I'm seeing some buyers doing is they're saying, if in the event that were to occur, we're willing to pay, X amount of cash on top of that amount that it doesn't appraise for on the originally agreed price.
Wow,
Um,
lots of different strategies folks are using to try to make
yeah,
it more attractive.
yeah. There's a lot of things that is occurring to make offers, attractive to sellers. Another thing is, if a seller is having to buy another home, then in some cases I'm seeing buyers being willing to leave that seller occupy the home after closing, at no additional cost to the seller for 1 week, 2 week, however much time that seller might need to find the following home or whatnot. So just getting
Wow.
creative to make offers attractive to the seller.
Yeah. And what do you think about like a potential buyer writing the seller a letter, like a home buyer letter?
I love personal letters. Personal letters bring in a little bit more perspective to the seller and gets to know a little bit more about that seller, that buyer, which I think is important. I think that eventually might be taken away, where people are not going to allow personal letters just because of regulations around, what if that offer is accepted based on ethnicity, religion, gender, any of those categories that are protected. It can become an issue. So I've heard conversations with the National Association of Realtors where they might not start allowing personal letters. But while it is permitted, I'd say absolutely personal letters are a great way to let that homeowner be aware of your situation, because if there's some certain needs that you have and you're just not able to meet those needs right now, and by you highlighting those in a personal letter, it's going to give that seller a different perspective rather than just a general sale agreement.
That's good to know, because I was also curious in terms of the letter writing, what you thought about folks adding a picture also to it. And I think that some of the things you just mentioned also speak to that.
Yeah, I've always been a big fan of it. I've always thought pictures are great. I think in the near future, it's something that probably might not be permissible though.
Okay. Just out of curiosity, do you have a general ballpark of how much over asking price you're seeing right now?
It's hard to say. I would say in the range of homes in between 250 up to 400,000. $20,000, $30,000 over ask price is what I'm seeing.
Mm-hmm.
Common
Mhm.
trend.
Yeah.
Some for homes in, above that range, we are seeing a little bit less inventory as well. And those are in some cases are going all the way up to 50,000 in some cases, 30 to 50,000.
Wow. Good to know. So these are some good tips for us to be able to take into consideration as we embark onto our own home buying journeys.
Mhm.
Yes.
Adrian, is there, oh, go ahead.
I think one thing that helps a buyer allow to justify how much you should go over that listed price is knowing how many offers they have. If there is 5 offers on the table, like the odds of it going over 30,000, I think is less. So if they have 20 offers on the table, I mean, the odds are it's going to sell probably well over 20, 30,000 ask price.
And I think that probably speaks to the importance of having a realtor
Absolutely.
that you are in contact with, because they can kind of help you navigate this process.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Adrian, is there anything else you think we should know or keep in mind before we close up today?
Yeah, I think kind of tapping into that last question you made, Joanna, I think the most important takeaway that buyers should take away from this market is don't have the fear of missing out. I think the important piece is being comfortable with that monthly payment. I think that's the most important piece. And offer an amount that if your offer does get accepted, be happy and excited about it, but don't be the person who offers an amount that, if you later on a month down the road, you find out it sells for, $1,000 or $5,000 less than what you offered. And then that you feel like, man, I comfortably would have offered $5,000 to $10,000 more. I should have done that, So I guess just being comfortable with your monthly payment, I think that's the most important piece. And then to just be comfortable with what you're offering and be okay whether your offer gets accepted or doesn't get accepted.
That's great advice.
Yeah, good to know. Well, Adrian, thank you so much for your insight. We really appreciate it. And I think that does it for our questions today. If you have any follow-up questions that you'd like us to cover in future episodes, you can direct message us on Facebook.
And as always, we invite you guys to join us every second and fourth Tuesday at noon to watch the webisode live. And remember, we do offer first-time homebuyer classes and one-on-one homeownership counseling with HUD certified counselors. You can get started today by going to devnw.org and click on sign up, or use the link in the comment section below. And with that, we'd like to thank our guest, Adrian, and all of you for joining us today. Wish you a wonderful, wonderful week.